Hi students, so today's topic will be system implementation. So what is implementation? So once the system is being analyzed and designed, and when they build the practical model, then they'll start using it. So that one will call implementation. So implementation can be difficult and time consuming process. It takes more time. However, it is a vital in ensuring the success of any newly developed system. For even a well-designed system will fail if it is not properly implemented. The system might be very good, the design might be very good, but if it is not properly implemented, then it is a complete failure. So implementation is a very important part. So implementation activities are acquisition of hardware and software, then testing, training, documentation, and then conversion. So these are the 5. So in the next slides we'll in detail try to analyze this one. The first step is hardware and software acquisition. So it begins with acquiring the required hardware and software based on the type of information system required. In the first, hardware evaluation. When a MIS team or information system team evaluates hardware needed by new business application, one should investigate specific physical and performance characteristics for each computer system and peripheral components to be acquired. So what is the exact information system they are building? For that, what is the hardware component they require? So what are the factors they have to check? They have to check what should be the performance, the speed, then what will be the cost, how much they can invest, purchase cost, reliability, how they can rely on this, compatibility, then nature of technology, ergonomics. Ergonomics is a concept which deals with the human, so how effectively they can use the human factor, so that one comes under ergonomics. Then the connectivity of this particular system along with the other devices, then scalability and the required software, so whether the software is available which can cope up with the present hardware, then the support. So these are some of the factors which you need to know or when you are evaluating the hardware. Next will be software evaluation. So once the hardware is done, so system analysis team should evaluate software according to many factors that are similar to those used in hardware. The previous 10 points what we explained, the same way here also they have to, in addition to that, they have to think of what is the quality of the software, efficiency, whether it is flexible for frequent changes and any adaptability, what about security factors, then connectivity, what is the maintenance, documentation, because the documentation is very much necessary. If anything happens, you can go through these documents and they can analyze. So if for any analysis, this documentation for further modification and all, it will help. Then whether it is compatible with the hardware, existing hardware will be connected with that software. Then other factors like performance, cost, reliability, availability, all those factors which were discussed. So these are the factors which you need to consider when you are evaluating software. Once the first step get over, acquisition part, then the second is testing. Testing is a process of executing a program with the intent of finding errors. Why you will test? To check whether it is working properly, whether the software is working properly, is any errors are there. So testing a program consists of subjecting the program to a set of test inputs. They will vary the inputs to check and observing the program behaved as expected. So we have designed a system which has to perform in a specific manner the way they have built. If it is any deviation, they will try to notice that. A test suite is a set of all test cases with which a given software product is to be tested. A test suite means they will conduct variety of tests, speed test, accuracy test, like that, performance test. So the combination of all. So the purpose of testing is to find out the response time. What is the response time of the system? For example, in your mobile only, if you click camera button, in what time, within fraction of second or 1 second, 2 seconds, the camera will open. If you click on a particular picture, so it will what is the time taken to click that particular picture. Then volume. So the test is conducted to check the functioning of hardware and software when handling large volume of records. Then stress testing. It aims to ensure that the candidate system operates effectively even under peak load condition. In extreme condition, when the data is more, that time also whether it performs in the same way. Then testing will be done for recovery and security. So if anything happens, how to recover the data, and also whether it is secure, to find out that. and usability, documentation and procedure. The user-friendly nature of the system is assessed by the usability test. So these are the purpose of testing. Then next is types of testing. Types we have many. Generally used typing tests are: one, unit testing. So it's a code-oriented testing. Individual components are tested. Here one part is separately, as the name indicates, unit. So one part is separately tested. For example, in computer, the computer mouse is separately checked, keyboard is separately checked. There is example again, there is hardware. But whereas in software, they will build many programs, so each program is checked separately. That is unit testing. Then module testing. A module is collection of dependent components. So a group of programs, and it will be considered as one object, and the complete module will be tested. Then subsystem testing. This phase involves testing collection of modules which have been integrated into subsystem. So system which will have many subsystem interrelated components, they will test that is subsystem. And the testing of the main system, subsystems are integrated with the main system, and the testing of that main system we call a system testing. Then acceptance testing. This is the final stage of the testing process before the system is accepted for operational use. So to put into the commercial use, before that we will check completely. So that one they will call it as acceptance test. These are the types of test they will carry out. So testing is very much necessary before implementation, because if any errors and all there, they will identify here and they will recover that, or they will solve, they will mitigate that error. The next factor is training. So training is an important phase for the implementation of the proposed system. Why training is? Because when you are implementing a new system, the users are unknown to that particular system. So a proper knowledge should be shared to them how to use that system. So training is very much necessary. The user should know how to use the new information system. Different training sessions are arranged with different categories. The same session will not be conducted to everyone. Different training sessions are arranged for different categories of users, such as low level, middle level and top level management. So low level people are operational level people. So for them there is only basic working operations, whereas top level management, they are for strategic, that is decision making. So all the people doesn't require same type of training. So based on what type of information system, where exactly it is being used and who are the users, based on that they will categorize and they will give, or they will make separate training programs. Then what are the forms of user training you have? One, conduct end user training. The first step in building the end user support infrastructure that must be in place when moves new software into production is training. The extent of training needs will vary by project. So conduct end user training. So who are the end user? The ultimate people who will be using the new software. Under that they will give application training and model office. Application training, so how to use the applications, the projects which are involving complex implementation and all. So they will provide application training, will be the foundation for additional training and end user testing. Then next is model office. It is a training tool that is intended to provide end user with opportunity to practice daily using the new software in a test environment. So model office means this replica of the main software. So not the exact same software, it is a duplicate copy, replica, where the users will test on that, and once they get the knowledge, then they will use the main system. Then second step will be conduct end user readiness training. So first you have conducted end user training, and then whether they are ready for using the original system, you have to conduct that. Then perform operational readiness training. So operational training ensures that the procedures and personnel required to implement the new application are in place. So this stage will confirm the accuracy of the software procedures, the conversion process, everything. So these are the three forms of user training. The next topic will be user training components. So some crucial points that should be kept in mind regarding user training are, so this part: visual aids or visual support. User prefers learning from demonstration. For example, in practical labs, directly if you say you can't do, so one particular person, the lab instructor, will do a demonstration and you will show. The same way here also visual support should be there. Then training demonstration, it can prove to be another important user training component. Live demonstration with close interaction with the users, so that will add for the learning of them. Then resident expert, sometimes one of the resident expert means the person will be staying there, so one particular person will be there who will be an expert in using it. So whenever the training program will be happening and whenever the users will start using, that person will help them, so they can seek the guidance from this expert. So these are some of the user training components. Then training aids, what are the training supports you have? One, user manual. For example, if you buy any particular new device, along with that they'll give you a manual so that you can read and you can gain knowledge how to use that particular product. The same way, how to use an information system, that particular component, so a user manual. Then help screens. Help screens is a new feature available in every software package, especially when it is used with a menu. So the user select help option. So normally in MS or in computer only will be having help options, so that in help screens. Then data dictionary, describe data elements, more like an electronic one-page sheet available to the user to see the functions are interpreted and perform efficiently. Then last will be job aids. The job means the work what they will do. The job aid give necessary information about specific jobs, what exactly the work they are doing and how to do. That will be displayed and that will be provided with this. So these are the some of the training supports or training aids. The next important part will be documentation. First you will go hardware and software requirement, then testing, then you do training, then it will be documentation. So effective use of information system depends not only on the interface design but on the documentation, which facilitates the initial and continued use of the system. Why documentation is necessary? As of now they have built the system and that particular time everyone will be knowing, but after certain time if they want to upgrade anything, on what basis they will do? So they cannot, their memory will be very short, so they cannot think of very long. So what they will do? They will do documentation so that it will be helpful to monitor and also for future reference. Documentation of information system means preparation of written descriptions of the scope, purpose, information flow components and operating procedures of the system. So what purpose, what and all it covers, so how information will flow, what is the operating procedures of the system, everything will be written, that means typed, that will be a document will be maintained. So use of documentation, so that will be very important one. What is the use? Communication. So documents facilitate communication about application between technical people and non-technical people. Then maintenance. So documents are necessary during abnormal maintenance. So if something happens, to recover, to do any changes, you do this documentation. Then self-instructional. It is also very helpful to train the user. Sometimes the expert might not be available every time, so but by looking into the document the people can understand easily. Then troubleshooting. Troubleshooter, who will say a problem solver. This also acts as a problem solving agent. Then decision making, it helps in the documents help corporate managers to understand the system and also helps in taking decisions. Then controlling the system, it can provide controls not only internal to the firm but also external to the business applications, such as those will be coming for system audit and all. For them also it will act as a tool. And evaluation, documentation mainly helps in evaluating the performance of the system, for what purpose they have built the system, whether it is working according to the specification, any changes, any deviation, all this you can evaluate, and this will act as a tool for evaluating. The next topic will be conversions. So the last stage of system implementation. So in this process, changing from the old system to modified or new one, many different activities are needed to perform in conversion process depending upon the type of implementation. As I said, it is the process of changing from old system to new system. So many different activities are needed to perform. Different activities are needed to perform in conversion process. So depending upon the type of implementation. So if it is new implementation, all necessary hardware is installed and manual files are converted to computer compatible files. During replacement implementation, old hardware may be replaced with new hardware, or old file structure also needed to convert into new ones. This conversion process is comparatively simpler in the third type of implementations. Now, what are the conversion methods we have? We have 4 methods. One is parallel conversion. So parallel conversion, the data processing is performed on both the old system and the new system for a trial period. So parallel conversion. So they will not completely replace old system. So they will try to use old system as well as new system. Once the people start adjusting with the new system, it might take 3 months, 4 months, 5 months like that. Once they completely adjust with the new system, they will eliminate the old system. So that type parallelly run both the system. Once they are compatible with the new, they will remove the old system. That is parallel. Second one is direct conversion. Direct conversion method involves direct switchover from old to new. Here, at the same point when the new system is developed, at the same time the old system will be terminated and they'll start using new system. So in first one, for few months they will use both and then they will transfer. Here directly they'll switch over to the new system. Then pilot conversion, when new system also involve new techniques or drastic changes in organizational performance, the pilot approach is often preferred. In this method, an isolated division of branch or an organization is selected as a test site. So it is less similar to first one, where parallelly they will run, but not the entire users will be using. They will make a team or they will select one particular department. They will test on them. So and then if it is okay, then they will implement in full-fledged. That is pilot conversion. And phased conversion, so step by step or stage by stage they will implement the conversion. So for example, for one department this month, for other department next month, like that, step by step or over a period of time, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, like that. The complete conversion will happen over 6 months, 7 months, like that. That time schedule they will prepare. So based on that, conversion will happen. So this is phased conversion. These are the conversion methods. So this is the total of system implementation. Start with hardware and software acquisition, then testing, then training, then documentation, and the last part will be conversions.